Hello, my name is David Salter, and I'm an estate planning attorney in Roseville, Minnesota. I'm the owner and attorney at Salter Law LLC. At Salter Law LLC, our mission is really simple. We want to prepare you for the journey ahead by providing you personalized, comprehensive estate planning guidance that ensures a safe passage of your assets onto your loved ones after you're gone. I have three primary practice areas: estate planning, long-term care pre-planning, and estate administration when someone passes away. These areas protect your loved ones and your assets at every stage of your life, whether you're just starting out, establishing a career, retiring, experiencing health issues, and then after you've passed away too. As part of our mission, we are partnering with allied professionals that can help you at life's transition points. And today I'm pleased to introduce our hosts, Dan and Nancy Loeffler, who are founders of Being with Grief here in St. Paul. Their passion is changing the conversation around grief and helping clients find meaning, purpose, and joy again so they can fully participate in their lives. This is the second in a three-part series on grief. And during the second webinar, Dan and Nancy are going to discuss grief during the holidays. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dan and Nancy.
Thanks, David. Yes, the opportunity, we appreciate the opportunity to address what many of us experience during the holidays and other significant milestone dates. And it's important to have these conversations about the holiday season before we enter it. That is, before we're in the thick of things and the holiday stress builds. When we feel stuck or unable to do anything to change our experiences and our anxiety, it can get the better of us. And preparation is the key that we focus on here in this conversation this morning. We're often asked how do we prepare for holiday and milestone griefs, and preparing for the holiday season and other milestone dates. It offers a little bit of space between what we're feeling and the approaching holiday.
Yeah, sometimes if we're in the thick of it and we don't know what to do, we wonder, or I wondered at least, how I could have prepared better if I had known what to do. And so that's why we put together some of these suggestions based upon our own experience. Sure.
So one of the things is changing the traditions that every family has as part of their holiday experience. And it can be stressful at this time. And, we add layers of grief that it can be very difficult to maneuver when you're in the thick of it. During the holidays, these feelings often show up with intensity that can be different for every member of the family. And it's important to understand that everybody will experience their grief a little bit differently. Having skills and having alternative traditions to draw upon when you're feeling these intense feelings can help you cope with the holidays. We're going to list some of the things that have helped us in our journey. So one of the things is changing the location of our celebration. We began traveling during the holidays because in the early years, it was just too difficult. And we were missing our daughter, Leah, who died in a car accident now 23 years ago. And remembering all of the past holidays, all of the things that we did as a family, it was just too difficult. So what we had to do was to change the environment that we were in to become better equipped to deal with the stress that occurred.
Yeah, and it didn't, of course, we didn't forget about her. She was still on our mind and in our hearts and in our celebration. yet we weren't in the same place that we were when she died. And that brings me to mention associative memories, because associative memories are rampant during the holiday season. And so what are associative memories? An associative memory is anything that brings to mind your loved one, no matter when it happened. So it could be associated with the holidays, or it could hit you out of the blue when you are at the mall. And that was one of the things I used to go shopping with Leah often because she was a teenager. So when I went to the mall early on, and Dan will talk about this a little bit later, and she wasn't there, I didn't know, I was hit with all of these really intense feelings. But at Christmas time, there are so many memories that that are associated with Christmas, like smells and sights and sounds and
Tastes.
Yeah. And so smelling Christmas cookies baking might remind you of when you baked Christmas cookies with your grandmother, and that could bring up a sad or a happy memory, but a memory nonetheless. The sense of the Christmas trees. I mean, I remember going out shopping for Christmas trees with the family and smelling all of the amazing pine, spruce smells, balsam smells that were on the lot. If you smell that, sometime it might bring that up and just
Devastate you.
devastate you if you feel like you're gut punched. Also sights, the Christmas lights or other holiday lights. We used to go riding around the neighborhood and looking at all the lights. That's not something we did early on because it brought back those memories and it was just too hard. The sounds, holiday music or laughter that you hear when you're out and about. And the feelings, those feelings that arise during the holidays that are only associated with the holidays or milestones. And then any other memories that are special to you can bring up these feelings seemingly out of the blue. So our purpose in mentioning these is for you to be aware of them. And hopefully through our presentation, we can give you some suggestions on how to make them a little more easeful for you.
When you're talking about it, one of the memories, and it happened to be about the Christmas tree, the scent of Christmas trees. And I can remember going to the Christmas tree lot. The kids were running around. There was music playing. Yeah. And
all the things that I just talked about.
All the things. Yeah. And that was it just really came to me. For a while, we had to stop listening to Christmas music because it was just too difficult. There were certain songs that were just so special for our family, and it was just too hard to hear.
Like the one we always put on when we decorated the tree.
Round and round the Christmas tree.
We didn't listen to that till about 2 years ago.
And associated with that was the dancing and prancing that the kids would do, and they'd say, "Oh, I found my favorite ornament." It was just too difficult to do, and listening to music then became something that still can catch me off guard and can well the tears in my eyes. And so personally, I don't want to hear Christmas music until it's almost Christmas. Not starting it before Halloween or any of the things that sometimes you can hear on the radio.
Yeah, but that was true even before Leah died.
Yeah, that's true too.
That's another story.
Yeah.
You can also change the way that you decorate. It became very difficult for us to put up a Christmas tree because we were faced with all of Leah's special ornaments. She would get an ornament every year, and it was hard. We kept imagining that she would come bounding around the corner, and she wasn't going to because she wasn't there. And so the first 2 years we did put up a tree, but after the second year, we decided that it was just too hard. So we stopped putting up a tree. And that's really when we started traveling too. So traveling gave us another excuse, not that we needed one, to not put up a tree because we weren't going to be there.
Right. And giving ourselves permission to change the way that we did things was one of the things that gave us a little more space. I was talking about the space between when you're in the middle of your holiday and the time that you have now to prepare. And that's why we're doing this now, to raise awareness so that things aren't as difficult.
We want to give you permission too to make your decorations match the way you're feeling this year. And we mentioned this several times throughout this particular presentation, but every year might be different. So don't think that just because you didn't put up a tree this year that you won't put one up another year. For a lot of years, we would just get a Christmas plant, a poinsettia or an amaryllis, and use this time to create decorations that are meaningful to you, that honor your loved one, and that are in alignment with where you are this year. Side note, one year, about, what was it, like 17 or 18 years out, maybe even more, right around that time, all of a sudden, Dan and I looked at each other and we said, let's get a tree this year.
Yeah.
And we said, really? Do we really want to do that? And so we sat with it for a little while and we decided, yes, we're ready. And so we went out and got a tree. And it meant we had to go through the ornaments and see Leah's ornaments. And it was hard, but it was the right time. And so we have put up a tree since then. Now we have a granddaughter. So that is another thing that brings joy to our life. But it also gave us a chance to get rid of a lot of the ornaments that were just taking up space and weren't in alignment to where we are right now.
One of the things that reminds me of is, even though we opened up the boxes of Christmas ornaments, the boxes that we didn't open was the Christmas village.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was Leah's special activity. She would arrange
and rearrange it
and put skaters on the pond and decorate with, snowflakes.
Yeah.
It was one of those things that we had to give special consideration to. And now we have shared those same Christmas village scenes with our family to let them begin to create their own new traditions.
Yeah.
So I also want to mention shopping. For me, that is personally a very stressful time. And
no matter when you do it.
No matter when I do it, starting it early, but it's just being in the well, back then there was more mall shopping, and that was something that we enjoyed. I enjoyed going to the mall, but after Leah died, it was something that was just too difficult. The festive atmosphere, the kids running around, the Santa display,
reminder.
and it was just too difficult. So we began at that time shopping online and becoming good consumers. Shopping was a very special time with Leah and for both of us, but
and shopping was one of the last things that I did with her the week before the accident, when I met her at Target, which was one of her favorite places to shop. And after that, it was hard for me to walk into Target and not see her standing where she would always be standing. And so I stopped going to Target for a really long time. And then when I started again, I noticed that Target had completely redone the way that they put their store together, which was so much easier for me because it didn't look the same way. It was it was the same environment, but it didn't look like the same environment, so it didn't bring up the same kind of memories. So, and that's a part of self-care, doing the things that will help to make the holidays or your milestone days a little more easeful. And self-care is always important, but during the holidays and during times of stress, it's important to schedule more self-care. And yes, I did say schedule it. We like to think that self-care is something we do after everything else is done. And if we are not, don't fill our self-care energy capacity,
Right.
we're not able to do all the things. So I invite you to make a list of everything that nurtures you, nourishes you, brings you joy. Make a list of it. It could be something simple like having a cup of tea or lighting a candle, going for a walk, or just stepping outside and being in nature. Or it could be something that is that takes more time that we do have to schedule, like massage or other kind of body work. But I encourage you to make a list, because if you make your list when you're feeling stressed and you want to do some kind of self-care, you can look at the list and say, okay, I'll do that today. What would happen with me is I would get into a stress situation and I would say, I need to do some self-care now, but I would get stuck almost, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I couldn't think of anything in the moment. So having that list is helpful.
And for me, that list didn't include some of the things that was on Nancy's list. As a guy, I was more inclined to listen to music. I found that was a good distraction for me, or picking up my guitar and spending time practicing, or maybe even a video game. But I found that I didn't want to focus and get lost in a make-believe world. It helped to maybe reduce the stress, but I didn't want to become so focused on it that I didn't do anything.
Get lost in it.
Yeah. And you got to remember too that what may have worked for me this year may not work again, and you've got to be willing and flexible enough to
ask those questions.
Right.
And so become familiar with your own grief triggers and learn what works for you to help you to get through those.
And remember, there's no right or wrong way to grieve. And there's no timetable for the healing process to begin. Give yourself the time that you need, so that and honor your own process.
Right.
And remember that each member of your family is going to experience grief in their own way, and that's okay. They need to know that. And sometimes that's all that is needed for you to know, to be able to begin the journey toward healing.
Yeah.
And that, we're all processing grief in a different way. And whenever, whatever will allow us to relax a little bit and to begin to allow that healing to enter. Some years you'll feel like the loss happened yesterday, and other times you'll find inspiration and encouragement, and just that rises out of the occasion that you're in. And remember, it's okay. Give yourself permission to feel the feelings that you're feeling at the time.
Yeah. I want to mention some of the other milestones that we might go through, because a lot of the suggestions that we have here also apply to milestones like birthdays, their birthday, our birthday, family and friends' birthday. And while birthdays may be a bittersweet time, they also can give you the opportunity to get together with friends and family and remember your loved one and tell stories and laugh, because laughter is also very
Healing.
healing. We want to mention a few of the other milestones that were difficult for us.
One of the things that, Leah's accident occurred in early November, and each year marked by the change of season as it transitions from fall into winter, and the temperature changes. It gets cloudy, the leaves are falling. I didn't realize it at first, and I know that you didn't feel that way either. There was something about that cooler weather that brought about these feelings of anxiety, and here it was coming up on an anniversary, and it was all related to another
Associative memory. Yeah.
That the weather had changed, and that we were entering into the season when Leah left us, and it became a difficult time each year when the weather changed.
Yeah.
I
just want to mention that one year we had a cold snap in August, and I started feeling those feelings, and I thought it's way too early to enter into this time of the anniversary now, and until I realized what it was. So that's why it's important to be aware of associative memories and what they can do to you.
Another reminder, or another thing that became a sensitive moment for us was the beginning of the new school year. Leah was starting her senior year in high school, and all of the ads for back to school specials were on the television. And now each year when we see those ads in the newspaper, or the things that pop up on the screen that says back to school special, it can really remind me of the times when of that time when Leah was no longer here, and it just it made me want to bury my head. The holiday season itself became more and more difficult for me to handle, until fortunately time passed, and doing our work, we were able to begin that awareness and preparation that allowed us to meet the season.
Yeah, with more grace and ease.
Grace and ease.
Yeah.
Blessings and peace.
Yeah. Some of the other milestones that were difficult for us was my and our 50th birthday. They happened in the same year, but it also coincided with a major renovation of our house, which included changing Leah's room into my studio to do my my work. And that meant that Leah didn't have a room anymore, and that was difficult for us. So in a dream, Dan found this, or had this dream of creating an arbor for her. So he saw the design that he wanted, and he found it because it was meant to be. And he built a meditation arbor in the backyard. And so on my 50th birthday, we dedicated that arbor to Leah, and made that her new room because it was it was outside where she could access it, and we could go and meditate and talk to her. And that was a bittersweet day.
Yes, but it became a very special place, and we filled it with flowers. We had a
bench
for us to sit and spend time.
Yeah.
Became a place where we could talk to her and
meditate.
And it was just a very special space that I was more than happy to create.
Yeah, it was very special. Another difficult time was graduation. Leah was in her early in her senior year when she died, and graduation was something she was looking forward to so much. And when we got an invitation to go to graduation, at first we didn't want to go. We thought it was going to be way too hard to go and watch all of her friends graduate and another reminder that she wasn't there. And yet something was pulling us there. So we did go. And we noticed that there was a candle lit in front of a picture of Leah, and the principal did an amazing, not exactly a eulogy, but she talked about Leah's influence on her and on the class. And I could tell that it wasn't, when we were making the decision, I didn't realize that it was going to be hard for Leah's classmates as well as us, that she wasn't there. So I was really glad that we went to honor Leah and to show her classmates that it is possible to face difficult times and be okay.
Well, especially as teenagers, they were more inclined to have the spirit of invulnerability.
Yeah.
And seeing and sharing the memories of Leah, I think allowed them to mature in a way that wouldn't have been possible any other way.
Mm.
One of the other big milestones, and something that many of us face, is what happens when we're invited to a wedding. And at the time, through our work and the people that we were associated with, there were many weddings that we had to attend. And that first wedding that I went to was one of the most difficult moments in my whole grief process. Seeing a father walk his daughter down the aisle and give her to her betrothed, her beloved, was a very difficult time. And even hearing the wedding march and all of the things associated with that became very difficult for
and the
us.
father-daughter dance. We walked out of father-daughter dances for the first, I don't know
how many times,
10, 20 weddings we went to,
because that was something that I would never be able to do with her. Although one of the things that we did learn, and one of the things that we came to understand, was that dancing was okay. And as a part of our healing journey, we took up ballroom dancing. So as hard as those times were for us, it was important for us to honor the bride and groom and to be present with our family and friends.
And to affirm new life. So that was important. Another thing that was difficult for us is what I've called big milestones, big milestones of the anniversary of her death. Now, certainly the first year was a big milestone because it was the first year, and we didn't know how we were going to make it through the first minute, let alone the first year. And it was really difficult. And then there were all the 5, 10, 15, 20 year anniversaries that were like those big numbers. And each one of them was difficult for a different reason, because it again marked 20 years that Leah is, and now 23 years that Leah hasn't been here physically. And so all of those anniversaries brought up different things, and we marked them in ways that were important to us at the time. Again, ask yourself those questions. What will make this anniversary meaningful this year? Sometimes you took the day off of work, I took the day off of work, and we didn't do anything. We went to the park and meditated, or and other times we marked them in different ways. So again, be willing to ask the questions. So now we have some suggestions for you to try to help you to modify your traditions for holidays or milestones.
So when a difficult milestone is approaching, take the time and make space to allow your feelings to enter in. It can be, and especially for me, I was unfamiliar with really embracing the feeling that I had. My first tendency was to package everything and compartmentalize it and put it away because I didn't want to deal with it. But I found that when I took the time to invite those feelings into my heart, it was easier for me to begin to accept and hold those things, because once I welcomed them, I was able to work through the difficult feelings. I was still sad, but I still but I had a greater capacity to hold those feelings.
Yeah. And if doing the same things, if doing the same traditions that you always did with your loved ones comfort you, then do that. You don't need to change just because we're asking you to re-examine your traditions. There's no one right answer, and it may change from year to year. Honor yourself where you are each year when a milestone comes around or during the holidays.
And take a look at your family traditions. What traditions are difficult for you? How can you change up the traditions so that it isn't as painful as you might expect? Take some time with them and decide which ones will make you feel less stressed and which ones are just too difficult at this time, and give yourself permission to allow some flexibility in the way that you celebrate.
To summarize some of our suggestions, here are questions that you can ask yourself to gauge your preparation for the holidays.
So associative memories we spoke of, and it's the feelings that you have as you recall the memories of times gone by. What are your associative memories, and how will you meet them at this particular time?
Self-care. How can you take care of yourself during the holidays and milestone days? Think about that beforehand.
Another question is, where would you like to spend your holidays? If family times support you, then by all means, get together with family. For us, in those first few years, we traveled. We went to different environments that allowed us to experience the holidays in a new way that didn't encroach on the moment, but allowed us to create some new traditions that became new memories of how our celebration could be a positive and uplifting experience.
What kind of decorations feel right for you and your family this year? The answer may be different every year, and maybe not decorating some years is all right. Give yourself permission to do that.
Exactly. And I've spoken before about holiday music. Holiday music may be too difficult for you to hear. Turn off the radio. Don't listen if that's what you want. Or maybe there are times when that music can soothe you, and by all means, bring back the memories of times gone by and the things that you hold dear.
And what other milestones are difficult for you? Take some time to think about what happens throughout the year, like birthdays, or maybe one-time milestones like graduation or weddings. What other milestones are difficult for you? Just being aware of them, being aware that they're approaching, can help you to have the time to prepare for them.
So we hope that these suggestions have provided some way for you to prepare for your own difficult milestone and holiday days. And if there are any questions that you have, please feel free to get them to us or to David and Julie, and we'd be more than happy to respond. And we want to thank you for listening, and thanks again, Dave and Julie, for this opportunity to share some of our experiences as we met our grief and took our journey.
Well,
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation, Dan and Nancy. That was, extremely emotional for me. And it's great that you can share those personal insights. listening to you, I kind of thought of this personally. My dad's probably almost 10 years ago passed away right around Thanksgiving. And for the first few years after he passed away, always the day when he passed away, we would always have a little tea party. We do have pot of tea, brewed with the real tea leaves, not tea bags, Bay's English muffins, and Dundee marmalade, fancy English marmalade. And we did that for like 3 or 4 years, and then we kind of quit. And I was thinking, listening to you in this presentation, I'm thinking, it's coming up. I'm going to bring back that tradition, bring back the honoring Dr. Salter tea party. So
yeah, that's a perfect example of what we're talking about, of something that's meaningful for you that honors him.
Yeah. And then also I told you just when we were talking about things in the past, I had my one friend out in Portland who's, his mother passed away on his birthday, 15 years ago. So I think I'm going to send him the link to this presentation. So,
yeah, that's one thing we didn't mention, but a lot of times someone dies close to a holiday or a birthday or something else, and so that compounds the grief and the complications of the feelings around those times.
Yeah, not associative grief, but what is that called? I can't think of it now.
Yeah, it's but it happens a lot. We hear that a lot.
So we have one more in our 3-part grief workshop seminars. So the next one's going to be on November 18th. See if I'm reading that right. Yes, I am. And that's going to be on the topic of how to meet grief. So
and what to say to people, what to say to those who are grieving.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if anyone is available, please register. You can register on our website at salterlawllc.com. And we hope to see more people enjoying these grief webinars. So thanks again, Dan and Nancy.
Thank you, David.